Welcome back to the channel. It is Chris here and I've got a good one for you today. So I've been doing loads of xTool Studio tutorials. You can check them out up there if you want to see the other ones. And today's episode is about showcasing to all of you the new features that are available within xTool Studio. So one thing that often happens with new software is they just repackage up the old software and make it look a little bit different. However, xTool Studio have implemented quite a few new features and some of them are really handy and really useful, especially if you're a beginner or you want to get into laser engraving, you want to know how to do some really cool things easily. This is the video for you. So let's get to it and I'll show you how to do every single new thing that is available in the software. Here we go everyone, we are back on our familiar xTool Studio screen, and as we've done previously, at the top right you're going to see new project. That's what we'll be doing in this case. So I'm going to run you through the new features within xTool Studio. You'll see that it is repackaged. There is a lot of the old things from xTool Creative Space. However, if we come to this left-hand side toolbar here, you will see an icon that has 3 squares and a diamond, and it is called Applications, as you can see there. And if we click on it, there are the old familiar things like grid array, circular array, material test array, which we've done a previous video on, check that out. Code generation will be another video. And then you've got smart nesting, you've got batch fill, earrings generator, keychain generator, and box generator. They're the specific things today I'm going to be taking you through so that you can get an idea of what they do and how they can go into your workflow, because these are really good features and they're free. We're going to start off, we're not going to go in any particular order, but there is a slight order that I'm going to do it to make sure that some of the features are optimized. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the earring generator. Who doesn't need a new pair of earrings? And as you see, I've got some 3mm plywood. I'm going to be doing everything on that this time. So the first thing we're going to do is set our material. And in this case, I'm going to click on wood. And if you're not sure how to do material selection, check out my previous tutorials, guys. Subscribe to the channel because I've already gone through these in much greater detail. So if I am going a bit too fast for you, then check out the other videos because I'm going in great detail in all of these. This is a 3mm basswood plywood. I know that for a fact. I've already measured it. And I'm going to click OK. And then you can see there we have got our material selected, which is great. So there is our 3mm basswood plywood. So this is what I'm going to be making these items on. Everything I go through today, I'm going to give you an actual demonstration of it. So it's worth you seeing. So here we go. Here's our material. First thing I'm going to do is put it into my xTool F1 Ultra, focus the laser. On the F1 Ultra, you do have the camera function, but if you're doing this on the F1 or the other lasers, then you can do exactly the same as this. You just don't have the camera, so don't worry about that. What we're going to do next then, now we've got our material selected, and that's important because that's what it's going to pull the settings from. We are going to go onto our toolbar, our applications toolbar on the left, and let's go into earrings generator in this case. When you click on this, you're going to be presented with a number of different options. And you can see some of these are acrylic, some of them are wood. I think ultimately it doesn't matter what the picture shows. If that's showing acrylic, you can still do it with wood because you're going to apply your settings. In this case, I would like to do something along the lines of this one here. So I'm going to do these. In the UK, we call it American football, but I know if a lot of Americans watch this, I'm going to do a football. And you select your design first, and then you come over here and you can actually edit things really easily without having to manually go in. So for example, if we wanted to change it to 13 or 14 or 15, it changes it. If we want to change it to 2, it changes it. It's brilliant. I'm going to go for 7. I don't know what position that is in football, but there you go. And also there is hole size. So that represents the hole at the top, and you can increase it manually with the arrows and it will increase the actual hole cutout for whatever ring or hoop or type of jewelry you're going to place through that. And that's really, really handy. So there you go. That is the kind of configuration aspect. I will just show you though, if you click on one of these other ones, I'm going to lose that. So if you click on one of these other ones, and in this case, this is a flower, there is another area where you can select style. And if you hover over, it will change the style of the earring to a predefined one. And that's another really cool thing. And as you can see here, you can specify the thickness of the material in this and also the hole size once again. So really, really cool thing here. I'm going to go back to this one though. I'll change it back to 7 and we'll keep everything else default. So once you've got that, you're going to import to canvas, and you'll see it's put it in absolutely huge. So this is the point now where you need to determine what size you want it, and you can drag one of the handles or you can adjust it up here. So I'm gonna do it a decent size just so you guys can get a good idea of how it works. And if you click away from the actual design, you'll see it's already predefined the scoring and the cutting parts. So it's going to score the blue areas there. And you can see on the left, look, you can go and if you click on the actual scoring part, this window on the left opens where you can actually adjust it if you change your mind, which is really good. And you see how I scaled it down? Well, the hole itself has also scaled down with it. I want to go back up to a 2.5mm hole, and I'll do that. If we click on the design, the number 7 and the little kind of laced part, it's going to default the settings based off of the material we set earlier. You can still click on the one-click set, and you can still specify what it is. This is why it's important to get your material set up correctly before you do it. You can run material tests, and I've done a video for that. You can also find on my channel, so check that out if you're not sure how to do it. There you go. So we'll click on that, we'll click off, we'll close that down, and now we can move it around. I'm going to put it central on my piece of material just to get as straight a cut as possible. So now if we wanted to actually make that, we just click the process button and we do it. But that leads me on to my next feature. If we want to do more than one of those, and I'm going to now copy and paste loads of them, I'm just pressing Control-C and Control-V. If we want to do loads, so how many we've got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll do one more. That's 10. So 5 pairs of earrings, 10 there. If you want to do all of that at once and you don't want to have to manually drag it around, there's a really cool new feature that I'm going to show you next. And that is, so select all of your items, and we're going to come into smart nesting. And this, as you can see there, is going to automatically arrange everything so that it's in the premium optimum position to ultimately use as little material as possible. So we're going to click smart nesting. You can define the sheet size. 600 by 600 is very big for my laser. I think the xTool F1 is 220 by 220, and the F1 is approximately 110 by 110. I'm going to set it to, let's go 150 by 150 and see how that goes. So these settings here, auto rotate, does what it says. It'll automatically rotate it to optimize it. Auto ungroup, it'll ungroup things if it needs to move them. And treat contained elements as a whole. That's going to take everything and treat it as one combined thing. So we've selected that, we've set our size, start nesting, and there you can see, look, it has now optimized this shape pattern to do it in a really premium and a really cost material saving way. If we zoom in there, you'll see there are tiny gaps between the cut lines. So it really has done a good job of nesting, and that's a new feature. That's a really, really good one. I am going to just delete a few of these because I don't need all those. I wanted to just show you smart nesting. We'll do 2 pairs. There you go. We've got our 2 pairs. What we're going to move on to next is the Keychain Generator. So very, very similar. Once again, pre-select your material as we've done on the right there. Then click on Applications and you are going to see Keychain Generator. Very, very similar to what we've just seen. If you click through them, you're going to see lots of different options. And yeah, I mean, I have a feeling xTool will add to this as time goes on. So let's select this one, okay? We're going to go with this one. I like the look of it. Now you've got a logo in there and a name. If you click on the style at the top right, there are already a load of predefined logos that you can choose from, which is really cool. If you just want to make a quick item that you give to someone, this is great. And I like the trophy. So I'm going to put a trophy on there. And I'm going to type my son's name, which is Arthur. And what you'll also notice, look at the text. As I put more text in, it scales it down to fit, which is really, really good and really clever. And I like that that's in there. So there you go. And now you've got a hanging hole, which is that top right. Selection again, you can turn it off or you can have it on. And then you can also change the font of the actual text in there. There's loads of options, which is really cool. I like that. That's a great feature. So once again, once you've done all of your configuration aspects, import it to Canvas, and then you're going to see that is also there. So what do we want to do? I want to make 2 of those. I want to make 2 sets of earrings. So we're going to do a nesting again, a nesting exercise just to show you it doesn't matter if you've got different items. This works on everything. So select it, click on applications, and then click on smart nesting right here. We're going to keep our area as probably, I might increase it to 175 by 175, but we can adjust that. Smart nesting, and there you go. Look at that. It has positioned everything. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it centrally on the actual material, or a little bit more central. But I am going to keep it exactly as it has placed it. And we're going to cut it out and we're going to see how it works. So there we go. We've got our keychains. We've got our earrings, and I can't wait to wear those. Let's process it. We'll keep all of our settings, the default that is chosen. Hopefully it will be good, but it could be wrong. And let's move over to the actual camera and I'll show you this next part. Here we go, we have our machine, and I am going to be cutting here. So I'm going to use the cutting plate that came with the xTool F1 Ultra, but I know the F1 also comes with one. But if it doesn't, just make sure you prop your wood up on something. Here is our material. Like I said, it's a 3mm plywood. I'm going to butt it up against the back so I know it's fairly straight. And you'll see when you do that, it produces basically a gap between this and the bed. So when the laser's cutting through, it gives it somewhere to go and it doesn't just kind of penetrate off the bottom and make it burn. You'll also see I'm not focused, so I'm going to adjust the laser height to join the dots. And that is now a focused laser ready to engrave. The next thing we're going to do is frame the actual engraving area itself to make sure we're happy with where it's going. There you go. That should allow me to ultimately save a lot of the material space, because that's what we're doing with smart nesting. We're trying to optimize this, but also I'm going to have lots left over at the end. So there you go. We've got our laser central. These are the default settings. I think it did 6 passes on the cuts, and you can see that is way too much. So this is the importance of doing your own material and cutting tests, just so you can actually get the right settings. But I know this is going to pop off because 6 passes, there's no way it wouldn't. But there you go, look, it has actually done every single one of them, and it has done all the bits. We would need to clean these up because they are a bit charred from obviously our 6 passes. However, it's done a great job. It's, you know, they have all cut. Even the ones that were really close to each other, they've all cut. They've all done a great job, and I'm impressed with it. I'm impressed with the nesting feature and with the key ring and the earring generator. You see the results. It works really well. They were a bit charred, but it worked. Once you get your settings refined, that is a really, really feasible way of creating something really quickly. The next thing, this is my favorite thing. We're going to be taking 4 of these keychains. These are standard bamboo ones you can get. And we are going to be using the batch fill command. And I'm excited about this. So the first thing I want to do is place them on the build plate. Normally you'd try and put them in straight, but in this case, we're actually going to try and put them at deliberate angles to see how it works. What I will say is the first thing you want to do is focus the laser on top of one of them so that you know when you do start the engraving, it's good. And let's challenge this. Let's put everything at a slightly different angle. So we're going to go like this, like this, like that. And now that we have them placed, we are going to update the camera, and it should show them. It will show them approximately. Anyone who has a camera, you know that this is temperamental. It's not always exact, but we'll do the best we can here. So the way this works, okay, is, so once again, on the left-hand panel, you've got applications. Then we're going to do batch fill, and it, in theory, should recognize similar shapes and place your designs automatically. So let's give that a go, shall we? The first thing we want to do is draw a rectangle or a shape around any one of them. And you know what? We'll start off with this one right here. And as you can see, it is a bit of an angle. What I will do is I will draw a standard rectangle. I'm going to change the layer to red just so that you can see it clearly on the screen. And we are going to rotate it so that it matches the footprint of this. We might not get it exact, but we'll get it close. So I'm manually adjusting the angle at the top to what I deem to be close to what it actually is. 41-degree angle seems quite good. So draw your box and turn off your aspect ratio lock up the top there so that you can manually do it. Draw your block around the outside of the overall shape. So there you go. You can see there, if I zoom out, that is now covering the whole of this shape, and we're good. So the next thing we want to do is click on our design, and we've still got, at this point, we've still got the material set to plywood. So change it to the right thing before you do this. I know this is a bamboo, so I'm going to type in bamboo, And as I said earlier, if you're not sure about these material selections or material tests or anything else with xTool Studio, check out our other tutorials. So we're going to apply that. And there you go. We now have our bamboo selected. As you know, I've already done the focusing of the laser. So select the shape that we've just drawn. Then we're going to click on batch fill. And we're going to go frame out material first, okay? But you have to have drawn your frame. So click on frame out material. And it's going to basically spot your shape. Click fill. And there you go. Look, it's taken our boxes and it has placed them in what it thinks is the right area. And it's pretty spot on. And by the way, for this, I'm going to keep everything exactly as it places it, even if it looks off, because I want to see how accurate this is. So once you've got this bit defined, you now want to put a design in one of them. And we're going to use the Elements tab here. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm just going to choose something. If we click on Fancy Fonts and Seal, I'm sure I saw, yeah, this one here, look. Grab me a beer. And I'm going to set it to engrave. So it's important you select all of your settings before you do this. So I'm going to click on one click set. And I like these, I always like them dark. So let's do that. And what I'm going to do now is position it. And if you remember right, when I did this earlier, up here, 41-degree angle is what I selected. So I'm going to do the same for that. I'm going to click on it, type in 41, and it should rotate it to approximately the right size or the right angled orientation for that keyring. Put it where you want in terms of that bounding box that we created. And there you go. That's our design on our keyring. The next thing we want to do now is get it to automatically place that design in the right places. So just like we did before, we're going to select our design. We're going to click on Applications, click on Batch Fill, and now we're going to click Fill. Okay, and it should take that design and place it on all of the other spots. As you can see, there is a wait time, but look at that, pow, right in there. It's done a great job from the looks of it. However, until we actually engrave this, we do not know, okay? So what I will do is, now that I've got it positioned, the boxes that I've scored around it, I'm going to turn those out, the output off for those. I don't want it to engrave them. I only want it to engrave the actual designs. So I'm not even going to frame this, by the way. I'm just going to go cold in here. We're going to see how accurate this is. It's a bit of an accuracy test. Let's click process. Let's see how long it says it's going to take. It's going to take 29 seconds to do this. So let's do it and let's see how it goes. Okay, so we've got our key rings, we've got the lid down, and I am ready to click start. And let's see how this does in 3, 2, 1, go. Well, I'm impressed by that, because if you let me focus on it, each one has made it onto the target, which is what we want. I mean, that one's slightly off, but overall, considering I only set that one there, it's done a great job at recommending where to put it and to place it there. So that's something that is really, really useful if you do want to just throw something onto a build plate and engrave onto it. You have all of them lined up so you can get a good idea of if they are similar to each other. They should all in theory be the same. Those two are quite similar. That one's quite similar. That one's a little bit off, but overall that's a really, really good effort. And I'm actually very impressed with that feature, and I could see a lot of uses for that. We are going back to our 3mm plywood, because what I'm going to do now is the final one, which is the box generator. I'm going to show you how that works. What I'll do first is set the material back to 3mm basswood plywood. Here is our updated image. And now we're going to use the box generator. So before I click on that, on the left, once again, you have the applications. We are now going to do the box generator. And this is a really cool thing they've introduced. There are only 5 designs at the moment. And if you click on them, it shows you the cut path and all that stuff. But it's really cool that they've included it. And once again, I think they'll start adding things to it. I'm going to do a standard box here because I've got a use for this, because I actually have things I need to store. You can see you can put a message on there and a pattern. And if we come over to the right, we can specify what size the actual box is. And it's going to be 100 by 100 and 50mm in height. Obviously, you have to make sure your material is big enough, but let's run through the configurator again. So you can choose to have a pattern or no pattern. And within the pattern, there are various different options. I'm not going to have a pattern because I just want a box. Then there is also a design block here where you can have some text on there. If you did want to put your own text in, you can. You can just type in whatever you want there, hello, and you can put it in there. I'm going to turn it off once again because I don't need it. I'm just going to use this to actually store stuff in. So we're going to click import to canvas, and there you go. You can see that would have fitted on my build plate if I hadn't already cut materials out, but it doesn't in this case. So I am actually going to drag it down, make it a bit smaller, and we'll see how that goes with the xTool F1 Ultra and the F1, any kind of galvo laser. If you think about it, the laser is coming down from a central point and moving like that. So when it hits the actual material on the whip, it's going to be angled. So I'll be interested to see how well it handles that. I'm going to try 4 passes and power maybe down to 90%. Let's get this previewed and let's do this. As I previously said, we always want to frame our engraving to make sure we're going to get an optimized engrave on the material. So off we go. So here we have it. We have finished and it has chopped most of the bits out. Let's see if it actually all comes out. Yeah, I'll take that as a success. Curious to see how well this goes because like I said, oh, it does slot in there. So there you have it. It has actually worked and it has gone together, even cutting it with the F1 Ultra. So really, really impressed by that. Decent feature, I like it. So here we go. Here are all the things we made today using the new features in xTool Studio. Thank you so much for watching, guys. So I don't get paid by xTool to do this. They haven't asked me to do this. I'm doing these tutorials just to help you in the hope that you will get something out of it that's gonna help you improve your laser experience. Please subscribe to the channel if you've got something out of this today and you want to watch the other videos. Check them out because we have a playlist full of really, really helpful videos. Thanks very much, guys, and have a great day.